Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Friday morning. Hope you are good today. Hope you have good plans for the weekend. We don't really have anything planned. I plan to go at some point this weekend with whoever with my family wants to go with me. It may be me, it may be me and Holly, it may be me, Holly, and Thomas, maybe me and Thomas. I don't know. And watch the new Star Wars movie. I know you're shocked I haven't seen it yet, but I wanted to. Holly said she may want to go, so I figured I'd wait till the weekend. But I will, if you want to know anything about the Mandalorian and Grogu in a few days, I will be the guy to ask because I will have thought about it probably far too long. I'm excited because who doesn't like a Star Wars movie? That's always a good time. So that's really, I think, our big thing. Sunday's Pentecost, birthday of the church, big day. I love Pentecost. Wear your red to church Sunday as we celebrate Pentecost. I hope be in church somewhere. It's the big day of we Easter and Christmas get all the attention in the life of the church, but Pentecost is, of course, the day the Spirit was given to us and the birthday of the church, the day the church was really birthed. So, hope you can find time to worship this Sunday if you're in the Madison area, Metro Jackson area. We'd obviously love for you to worship with us here at St. Matthew's. Today we're going to read chapter 8, verses 1 through 9. Chapter 8, 1 through 9. Who is like the wise man? And who knows the interpretation of a thing? Wisdom makes one's face shine, and the hardness of one's countenance changed. Keep the king's command because of your sacred oath. Do not be terrified. Go from his presence. Do not delay with the matters unpleasant, for he does whatever he pleases. For the word of the king is powerful. And who can say to him, what are you doing? Whoever obeys a commandment will meet no harm, and the wise mind will know the time and the way. For every matter has its time and its way, although the troubles of mortals lie heavy upon them. Indeed, they do not know what it is to be. For who can tell them how it will be? No one has the power over the wind to restrain the wind, or the power over the day of death. There is no discharge from the battle, nor does wickedness deliver those who practice it. All this I observed, applying to my mind all that is done under the sun, while one person exercises authority over another to the other's hurt. So this is interesting because as I was reading this and getting ready for this morning, it made me think about my brain went a couple ways. First, it went to Paul's command in Romans 13 to obey the leaders, pray for authorities. And, if you've been in worship with me or service where I've prayed, one of the things that I've always done in ministry and will always do until I'm not in ministry anymore is I prayed for our leaders, local, state, and federal. I believe scripture is clear that we're called to pray for secular authorities. And Paul says that. Jesus says, give to Caesar that which is Caesar's. we see here, we see here Solomon, the teacher, if it is Solomon, that's what a lot of us think. Never says it's Solomon, but it makes sense. And so he is the king, and so obviously the king wants you to obey him. But the king here, he doesn't. I've all this observed, applying to my mind to all that is done under the sun. Well, one person exercises authority over another to the other's hurt. He isn't saying that the authority of the king will always be for the good of the servant. He's saying the authority of the king may harm you. Um, it's a complicated thing. So I think Nathan and David are a great example of how this plays out. If you remember the story of David and Bathsheba in Scripture, uh, David, you know, commits grievous sin with Bathsheba, grievous sexual sin with Bathsheba, and then has her husband murdered. I don't know. Once again, Scripture's messy, and then you look across the whole Scripture. I don't know who did something as bad as David. Moses killed a guy, but David, takes a woman who's not his wife and then has her husband killed. Like that's death penalty stuff in Mississippi. Um, Nathan is the prophet. And Nathan goes to David and rebukes him because of David's sin. You see the prophets over and over again in the Old Testament rebuking the kings because of their sin. So it's also Memorial Day this weekend. a beautiful for patriots dream, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. You know, I'm so thankful for our veterans and for those who have given the full measure of devotion to our country, those who are currently laying down their life for our country now. I think the scripture calls us to be engaged in the betterment of our country, betterment of the place we live. Um, the Lord tells the prophet going into exile, work for the welfare of the city, for the welfare of your city, of the city is your welfare as well. So here, the teacher says, obey the king. Keep the king's command because of your sacred oath. Do not be terrified in his presence. Do not delay when the matter is unpleasant, for he does what he pleases. We have duties as citizens. We have duties as I have a duty as a citizen of Mississippi, as a citizen of the United States. Um, you know, I have these duties that I want to keep, but I also know that my primary allegiance, my primary duty is always to Jesus, is always to Jesus. And so we always want to. Augustine wrote the best book on this concept probably ever written was by Augustine in the third century, City of God, where Augustine talks about the challenges, the struggles of having dual citizenship as Christians. We are we are citizens of the city of God, but we're also citizens of the city of man, and that we want to work for the good of the city of man. But our motivation for the good of the city of man is going to come from our citizenship in the city of God. Because I'm a Christian, because I follow Jesus, because I've given my life to Jesus, that means how I live with my community, how I serve in my community, how I work for, I like what Phil Vischer calls it on the Holy Post, how I work for the flourishing of others. How do I, as a pastor, how do I, as a Christian, how do I, as a Christ follower, fully live out my citizenship as a member of this great nation while fully working for the betterment of my neighbors? That plays itself out in so many ways. So this is a thing for us all to process and ponder. And unfortunately, I think so often we allow, and this is the bailiwick that I beat so often. You've heard it. If that's, do you beat a bailiwick? I don't know. That probably I'm probably gonna mix my metaphors there. I think one of the struggles we face in our world is that we are, I said it a couple days ago, we're asking things to support the weight of our soul that they cannot support. Politics cannot support the weight of your soul. It cannot. Your political allegiance to either political party ultimately cannot be the load bearing wall for your soul. Only Jesus can. Only Jesus can be the load bearing wall for your soul. And I think when we have that proper dynamic, that Jesus is the ultimate foundation of my life, then how am I going to live out the Jesus life in the world in which I live while obeying the laws and the rules and, living fully for the goodness of my country, laying down my life, praying for our soldiers, thankful for our military, for our first responders, for those who put themselves in harm's way for the betterment of our society, thankful for them, while also seeking with all that I can to work for good, for the children, for the communities, for the world. Um, yeah, these are complicated issues for us to wrestle with. They really are. And I think it's good for us to wrestle with them. I think it's good for us to think about them. I think it's good for us to ponder them. I think it's good for me to think, how does my faith inform my civic engagement? How does my faith inform how I serve in my community, how I lead in my community, how I lead in my neighborhoods, how I lead in my city, in my region, in my state, in my world? My faith should, and your faith should as well. So, as a follower of Christ, prayerfully consider how your faith pushes you to live out the gospel through your civic engagement. Grace commands to love God, love neighbor. How do we do that in our civic engagement? How do we be good citizens? If you're looking for City of God is not an, I wouldn't say it's not a difficult read. It's not the world's easiest read, but if you're looking for a classic text to kind of unpack this dilemma, I would encourage you to read The City of God by Augustine. It's almost 2,000 years old, but it's still a pretty informative, pretty informative read. So, hey, thanks for being with us today. Have a great weekend, and we'll pick up Monday morning. See ya.